Welcome to our explainer. Have you ever thought about what kind of message could be so powerful, so world-changing, that people would actually accuse you of turning the entire world upside down? Well, today, we're jumping right into the book of Acts to find out. We're going to follow the Apostle Paul on this incredible journey. Seriously, it's part sermon, part riot, and it's totally revolutionary. We're going to hit up 3 ancient cities, and this whole story comes straight from the pages of Acts, chapter 17. Let's get into it. All right, our first stop is Thessalonica. Picture this, a big, bustling port city in Macedonia. Paul and his team, they don't mess around. They go straight to the synagogue, which was kind of their home base, to start a discussion. And what a discussion it turns out to be. So for 3 solid weeks, Paul isn't just giving a speech, he's reasoning with them. He's carefully building a case using the very scriptures that they all knew and respected to prove a point that was, well, let's just say it was incredibly controversial. And here it is, his 2-point argument. And this was an absolute bombshell. See, most people were expecting a political king, someone to come and kick out the Romans. But Paul, he paints this totally different picture, right from their own texts, of a Messiah who conquers not with a sword, but through suffering, death, and resurrection. That just flips the whole idea of victory on its head. Well, this message, it pretty much starts a riot. Paul's opponents get so jealous, they actually hire a mob and accuse him of treason. They shout that he's promoting another king, Jesus, over Caesar, and that's a huge deal. But here's the crazy part. In their anger, they accidentally say something profoundly true. The gospel is about a new king and a new kingdom. So after slipping out of Thessalonica in the middle of the night, Paul and Silas make their way to a town called Berea. And the vibe they find there, it's a complete 180 from the chaos they just escaped. The Bereans, they're held up as this amazing example of how to handle truth. They were totally open-minded, but they weren't gullible. They listened eagerly, but then they went home and hit the books, searching the scriptures every single day to see if what Paul was saying actually lined up. It's this perfect blend of a humble heart and a discerning mind. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just staggering, isn't it? In Thessalonica, you get envy, violence, and an attempt to shut the message down. But in Berea, you get eagerness and careful investigation. One path leads to a riot, the other leads to a genuine, solid faith. Okay, next up is Athens. We're talking about the intellectual capital of the ancient world. This is the big leagues. Paul's just there waiting for his friends, but he's not just killing time. What he sees around him in this city of art and philosophy, it sparks something deep inside him. Paul's spirit was stirred. But that word in the original Greek, paroxuno, is so much stronger. It means to be provoked, to be incited. This wasn't just a mild irritation. This was a deep, righteous frustration, seeing a city so full of spiritual hunger, but getting it all so wrong with their idols. So this feeling drives Paul right into the marketplace, the agora, where he bumps into the city's top thinkers. And their first impression of him? Yeah, not great. They call him a babbler. The word they used literally means seed picker, like a bird that just picks up random scraps of seeds. It was their way of calling him a second-rate thinker whose ideas were just a jumbled mess. But they're also curious about this new teaching, so they take him to the Areopagus, basically the city's high council, which met on Mars Hill. And what happens next is just a masterclass in how to connect with a really smart, really skeptical audience. Paul's approach here is absolutely brilliant. He doesn't start by tearing them down. He starts by building a bridge. He points to an altar he saw in their city, one dedicated to the unknown God. It's the perfect opening. He basically says, hey, you're already trying to worship this God. You just don't know who he is. Let me introduce you. So then Paul just lays it out for them. 3 huge truths about this unknown God. First, he's the creator of everything. He can't be contained in a building. Second, he's the sovereign ruler of all history. And third, he's a personal God, so close that, as even their own poet said, we are his offspring. He's meeting them right where they are. And right here, this is the pivot. The whole sermon shifts from philosophy to a direct command. Repent. It's time to change your thinking, because a day of judgment is coming. And the ultimate proof, the guarantee that this is real, Jesus' resurrection from the dead. That's the mic drop. Now, for many in that Greek audience, the idea of a bodily resurrection was just nuts. To them, the body was like a prison you wanted to escape from, not something you'd ever want to get back. So this one idea, the resurrection, it splits the crowd right down the middle, and we see three totally different reactions. And this is pretty much how people still respond to the gospel today, isn't it? Some people mocked him, they just laughed at the idea. Others kind of politely brushed him off, saying, we'll hear you again about this later. But a few, including a key member of the council, they believed. The truth always forces a choice. So as we wrap this up, this whole journey gives us such a powerful playbook. First, the gospel is a revolutionary message. It's supposed to challenge things. Second, true faith, like the Bereans had, combines an open heart with a sharp mind. And third, we've got to find those connection points, just like Paul did, to share timeless truth with our culture, always pointing back to the resurrection as the ultimate proof. So in the end, we're all standing there on Mars Hill with the Athenians, we've heard the message, and we're left with the same three options: mock, delay, or belief. That's the question each one of us has to answer for ourselves. Thanks so much for joining us for this trip through Acts 17. To really lock this in, make sure you check out the flashcards and take the quiz. We'll see you next time.